Hey up everybody, welcome back to the I'll Do Cycling YouTube channel, where today I'm going to be doing a quick preview for the Giro dell'Emilia, which is coming up tomorrow, next round of the Superclassico. Submission time is 10 o'clock in the UK tomorrow, so a little bit of time to wake up and make some final corrections. It's very important to keep on top of this, especially before the race. Of course, we saw Philipsen not start the Franco-Belge the other day, so a lot of people were unfortunately hit by that, so be sure to check your teams before like 10 o'clock tomorrow if you're in the UK. But let's talk about tomorrow's race. Tadej Pogačar, most expensive rider, of course. Makes a lot of sense. His lowest finishing in a one-day race this year is 4th place. So therefore, I think that he is a very good choice for you to be putting onto your teams. Pretty much enough said about him. Of course, we'll talk about the rest of his team, which is immensely strong in a little bit, but Alaphilippe, probably not the best shout. He didn't have a very good Luxembourg, although he was pretty good at Montreal and Quebec, so maybe you could warrant an Alaphilippe if you were going off of that. Roglic should go well here. He's coming off of a Vuelta. I think that, he was looking good in that race. He's very good at these sorts of finishes, and I think that Roglic is another good choice you'd be going with. Barguil, Benoit, probably not. Enric Mas, of course, won this race last year, coming off of a very good Vuelta. He was good at the Vuelta. I wouldn't say he was as good as he was last year, but I still think that Enric Mas should be coming inside the top 10 in this race. Probably a top 5, if I dare say. Dylan Teuns, of course, there's been some more recent additions to this race. Teuns is a good one. I just don't think that Teuns is going to quite have it to win this race. I think a top 10 is going to be a very likely possibility. But I just don't really see Teuns doing better than Mas, personally. I also think that, you got better riders who are cheaper. Carapaz, again, a little bit of a tricky one to tell. Wasn't that great in Luxembourg. I think he did good it was the one which Sivakov won, this Italian race. But anyway, Carapaz is a decent one. Higuita probably not. Ulissi and Yates and Vlasov, these are all good choices. Lots of good choices in the 20 bracket range, sort of 18 to 22 credits. Ulissi usually finishes inside the top 10 in this race, very consistent, not usually a winner, and you don't really know how the team dynamics are going to play out with a Pogačar, an Ulissi, an Adam Yates and an Ayuso. I would expect them to try and really put the pressure on lots of other riders early on, because they've got a massive advantage in numbers. And honestly, I think a team which you just picked like all UAE riders isn't even that bad of a shout, because I think they'll get probably like 3 riders in the top 10. If they start making the race really attritional early on, they could end up in a group of 10 with 4 or 5 riders in there, to be honest with you. So I honestly think that stacking up on UAE, is, especially having like multiple ones of them, is not a bad idea. I think Vlasov is decent. He's proven to be quite good over quite, short terrain. He was better than Itebrooks on a lot of the shorter, punchier terrain during the Vuelta. Saying that, I don't really see a podium coming from him. I could maybe see a top 10 on a good day, to be honest. But yeah, Vlasov's a bit of a maybe not. 18 credit riders: Bardet, Pinot, Woods, Yates, Simon Yates, that is. None of them are really tickling my fancy, so I'm going to probably stray away from them. Quentin Hermans is the only 16 credit rider. I don't think he'll do that great here. Ayuso's 14 credits, that's a good shout. Bajoli might be the guy for Soudal Quickstep, considering that Alaphilippe might not be that great. Fulsang did good in Super 8 Classic the other day, but hasn't done that good since. I think they'll be working for Teuns. Guillaume Martin's very consistent. I think he'll get top 15. Carlos Rodriguez, not a bad one, but they also have Pavel Sivakov. Sivakov's a really good one. There's a lot of riders here who are in quite a good price range of 14 credits, and I think you could pick multiple ones of these guys and they're not too expensive. So I think Sivakov's really good. I think Martin's good. I think Ayuso's good value here. You've probably got maybe a Van Wilder as well, considering that he did good in Luxembourg. I think he did. Definitely a top 5. So I think that Van Wilder's a good one. Probably the leader for Quickstep, in all honesty. 12 credit riders: Chavez, Chiccone's a good one at 12 credits as well. I think that Ciccone should be leading Lidl Trek in this race. Of course, if you really want to keep going with the UAE thing, you could go Gross, Sharkner and Micah if you're so pleased. I don't think the other ones are that great. I do believe that the best 12 is probably going to be Ciccone, or Chavez might really launch a bit of a surprise. I guess Jorgensen could as well, but I do think this finish doesn't suit Jorgensen that much. It's quite steep, and I think that Mas will be better suited to it. In the 10 credit bracket, Velasco's shown some pretty good form recently, actually. Scaroni has finished top 15, top 20 in this race before, so I think those are the two main guys for Astana. 8 credit riders, Cone Bauman was top 10 in the TT at Luxembourg, so I really like his chances of coming maybe top 20 in this race. And then Filippo Zana is another 8 credit rider that I like. I think that if Yates isn't firing on all cylinders, Zana could certainly pick up the pieces and get a top 15 placing. To be honest with you, I haven't actually looked at the 6 credit riders yet in great detail, so this is going to be a pure sort of off the cuff one we're going to be going with. Fortunato was 5th in this race last year, 5th or 4th, something like that. He hasn't been in great form recently, but still worth considering. Felix Gall, 6 credits, very good value. And the guy underneath him, Romain Gregoire, of course we saw Gall at the Tour de France. Hasn't really shown that since. He wasn't that good in the Tour of Luxembourg. So maybe not, but this is a finish which suits him very well, and I would be surprised if he did bad. I think that, he's got to be getting something out of this race. He's probably one of the best riders AG2R have. Gregoire coming off of a Vuelta. There's, like we say, there's Pinot in here as well. I think Lenny Martinez is in here as well somewhere. I don't think we've got to him yet. So you don't really know a Groupama. I would say that Gregoire, is this too hard for him? It might be just a slight bit too hard. I do consider him to be more of a puncher. This is, the repeated ascents of this. I think it's the San Luca climb. It's going to be really hard for him to do on, I think. Kemner, not a bad one. Of course, he won a stage of the Vuelta. He's looked very good there. So if Vlasov isn't looking that great, maybe he could do all right. Lefay, another great rider. I would say that Lefay's got a better chance of doing well than Gregoire, personally. I think that Lefay's just got that little bit more climbing ability. Martinez, there he is. I think he's a really good shout as well. We've seen him do good in one-day races, but I suppose they were less complicated one-day races in the sense that they were just a big uphill finish, like we saw in, Von 2 was one. There was another one which I can't remember, which is in France, but I can't remember. It's off the top of my head. Tesfazion possibly for a top 20. But again, Jay Vine, Stephen Williams, these are all good riders to be picking on your teams. I would say the best 6 credit rider, I don't really know. Stephen Williams has got Mike Woods and Dylan Turns to contend with. Jay Vine's like a secure guy for the assist points. But I like Lefay, I like Martinez, I like Gall, Gregoire. There's a lot of guys who are good there. I really don't know who to pick. I think that, I'm more than willing to hear what you guys are saying in the comment section to help me out there. And then in the 4 credit riders, you're kind of looking towards assist points with some riders, but there is 1 or 2 who I have liked the look of. Pellizzari, I like because he was 2nd in the Tour de l'Avenir. And if you guys watched the Tour of the Alps, which was, I know, a little bit ago, but there was that stage which was won by Mühlberger, that Bardiani guy who was bad at descending but a really good climber, that's Pellizzari. So I think that he could be a bit of an outside one for a top 20. Jesus David Pena, I think, is good too. Of course, he does have Simon Yates and Zana probably ahead of him, but worth mentioning anyway. And yeah, that's about it, to be honest with you. I would probably recommend picking more than 1 UAE rider, and you could stack up. You could go with Roglic as well. You could go Pogačar, Roglic, a couple of UAEs, maybe even just, I don't know, if I just try and create one here. So you could go with something like Pogačar, Roglic, Adam Yates. Maybe you don't go with a Yuzo. Maybe you have to take him off and go with somebody else, but you could then put on some 6 credit riders, or you don't go with Yates, maybe you go with a Sivakov, and then instead of Paishkins, or instead of, I don't know why I've got Paishkins on, But either way, you could go with Gal, and then instead of Pellizzari, you could go with Lefebvre or whatever. You could go with something like that. I think that's a pretty decent team. Or you could swap out Roglic and go with Adam Yates, save those 8 credits, put those into somebody. Put those into, I don't know, some of them into Sivakov to get yourself Ulissi, but I don't think that's I don't think that's a great move. You can maybe go with Gal, upgrade him to a 14 credit rider like a Guillaume Martin or something like that. You could go with something like that either as well. I think those are probably something which I'm thinking of going with. But yeah, let me know what you're thinking in the comments down below. I haven't decided on a team yet. Those were just some ideas off the cuff. And yeah, all I just have to say is to click the subscribe button, because of course lots of Italian races coming up. And yeah, all I just have to say is to stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next video. Salut!